الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll continue discussing concerning Ahkam al-Janaiz taken from the book Al-Mulaqis al-Fiqhi by Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan, Hafidullah, Tabarak wa ta'ala. And in this particular discussion regarding Ahkam of Janaiz, that you have discussed various matters, matters pertaining to the person's preparation for death. Also, he discussed concerning matters that relates to Ahkam al-Marid, the person who's ill, and what are some of the Ahkam that relates to illness. Also discussed concerning Ahkam al-Wafat, regarding when the persons die, what are some of those things to be carried out for the deceased. Then after he went into discussing concerning matters regarding Ahkam al-Taghsil, regarding concerning washing of the deceased, that relates specifically to the deceased. Then also discussed after this concerning Takfeen, regarding matter that relates to the Ahkam that relates to the shrouding of the deceased. And in the last lesson we had covered concerning Ahkam al-Salat al-Mayt. we discussed or what is mentioned here regarding the Ahkam that relates to the Salat upon the person who have died. So we discussed concerning those Ahkam regarding how to go about the Salat, where he discussed concerning various matters regarding the Hukum, regarding Salat al-Mayt, that we mentioned that as discussed, and the Shaykh also mentioned with an ijma between the ulama that this is something which is fard kifaya. It is fard kifaya. Then also discussed concerning matters that he discussed regarding ashurut salat al-mayt. What are those conditions that should be in place for a person who wish to for the salat to be carried out, relating to the mate, the deceased, and also to those who are carrying out the salah. And as we also discussed regarding, then he discussed concerning, so those conditions that are normally applied for the salat, then it's also applied to salatul janazah, except where there's exceptions. Then he mentioned regarding as for salatul janaiz or salat al-mayt, he discussed concerning the arkan of the salat. What are the arkan, the pillars that should be in place in performing and carrying out the salat. So he mentioned one, takbirat, that there are 4 takbirat at the least can be done, and that's the call of jumhur of the ulama. And what is the common practice today? What's the common practice regarding Salatul Janazah? That it consists of takbirat. The first takbirat is considered to be an ijma, that it is something to be done and a part of the salah. And the Shaykh also include that all 4 are of the arkan of salat. Also qira, Surah Al-Fatiha. Then also salat upon the Prophet ﷺ, and also dua for the deceased. And also he mentioned tartib wa taslim, and also the person sticking to the order as mentioned, and also the person that giving the taslim at the end of the salat. So we discussed concerning some of the details that relates to those matters. Then he went on to discuss concerning matters relating to the sifatul salah. So after concerning how the salat is to be performed, that he also went through regarding what to be said at what point during this particular salah. So he mentioned regarding, so we're going to add certain points that he mentioned here regarding certain matters that he, at the end of this particular discussion regarding as-salat al-mayt, that he discussed of those cases regarding وَمَنْ كَانَ غَائِبًا عَنْ بَلَدِ or عَنْ بَلَدْ الَّذِي فِيهِ mate, that the one who's absent from the place where the deceased who have died. So I mentioned regarding concern that the person is allowed for the person to pray over the deceased. If he missed the salah, he can go to the grave, the place of the person burial, and perform the salat over the individual. Then we're going to add a few more masahil that relating to salat regarding al-mayt. So salat regarding upon the deceased. We'll add some other matters that the author rahimahullah did not mention, as these things are common occurrence. These things are common occurrence. So of those things that he added and taken from a book called Fiqh al-Janaiz, of those who have written specifically on this topic, and also we have the book of Shaykh Albani, Ahkam Janaiz. Then after the mention concerning as-salat al-ghaib. So of those masail that relates to of the salat upon deceased, salat al-mayt, that he discussed concerning that of those cases that is mentioned here regarding that the person who's absent. So regarding concerning the deceased, the person, as-salat al-ghahib mashruha ala man mat. That regarding concerning that praying upon the person who is absent, that this is permissible with the condition lam yusalli alayh, if no one prayed over them. So if a person died and they're absent, for example in a different country or a different city, and no one prayed for them, it is not known that anyone made salatul janazah for them. So in this case it becomes, as the ulama said, that it is something that can be done, something which is mashru'. So something which is mashru', permissible to be done for the person where no one prayed for them. And this is the qawl concerning of Imam Ahmad, of al-riwayah, ikhtiyar al-Khattabi, also Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn Uthaymeen, and also Shaykh Albani, rahimahullah jami'an. So those of the ulama who takes the view that this salat al-ghaib is to be done for a person that salat al-janazah was not prayed upon them at all. And the hadith, and concerning the adillah for this as the hadith, that several hadith that are mentioned, and amongst those hadith, as-salat al-janazah Najashi. So regarding concerning An-Najashi, that when Najashi died, that Isa alayhi salam said, qabr alayhi arban, that Isa alayhi salam, as in the hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah, that Isa alayhi salam, that he prayed arba rakat for him. He made arba rakat for Najashi. So this proves the permissibility of this particular act. Our next matter to discuss, based upon this tartib, the second of those masail, is regarding hukum as-salat ala bad al-mayt, that a person who have died, but only a portion of his body was found. Only a portion of his body was recovered or found. So the ulama mentioned that there's a khilaf between the ulama, is salatul janazah to be prayed on such a person? So for example, a person died, his body was somewhat eaten by an animal or something of that sort, or something happened with a person somewhat, we only have a portion of his body, not the entire body. What to be done in that case? So they mentioned regarding concerning ikhtilaf, there's an ikhtilaf between the ulama on this particular masala, where some of the ulama that all concerned that in wujida ba'd al-mayt ghusl wa salla alayh wa la farq bayna qalil wa kathir, wa huwa al-madhhab الشافعية والحنابلة وقول لابن Uthaymeen rahimahullah واللجنة الدائمة. Could I mention that in this masala, that if a person portion of his body was to be found, so this person, what was found is to be washed, and also for him to be, that portion to be prayed over. There is no difference whether the portion that was found was most of his body parts or a just small portion of his body parts. And this is the madhab of the Shafi'iyya and the Hanabila, and also of contemporary Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, and also is the fatwa of Al-Lajna Ad-Dahima in Saudi Arabia. Then the second view on this matter, the second take on this matter by the ulama is la yusalli ala al-mayt. So that second view concerns la yusalli ala al-mayt, that one is not to pray over such case. Illa idha wujida aktharu, unless you found most of his body parts. So the second view, all that for them, if you find you're not to pray over that person, with the exception that most of his body parts were found. And that's the madhab of the Ahnaf. That's the madhab of the Ahnaf and the Malikiyya.
Portion.
Aye.
So if none of him was found, then
If none of his body was found, then they said that we have Salat al-Ghaib.
No.
If none, we know someone died, and for example, a person drowned.
And
A person.
they're all in agreement to that.
What's that?
Salat al-Ghaib.
Salat al-Ghaib is a majority, not per se everyone is in agreement. So the matter regarding concern that the qawl we mentioned concerning the qawl al-Sahih regarding that Salat al-Ghaib, that so the first case of the person that we said, a person who died in a different place or a different city, his body was not, we are not able to bring his we might find even cases that we have had where a person died, Muslim, but because his family were Christian, they claimed his body legally according to the law in this country. But the person was Muslim, but his family they still insist that they want to go to give him they want to take possession of the body and do things their way. But the body is present in the city. But because of the situation with the family, they are the ones with the legal guardian of the body, then they choose, and because the person, for example, was a revert, the family kind of somewhat took the body and they did what they did with it. So the Muslims do not have possession of that body. So the body is absent, but they still perform to perform Salat al-Ghaib. So we have another scenario concerning the person that an incident occurred, for example, that the person was eaten by an animal. So a portion of his body was found. And so in that case, the person was a serious accident where the body was somewhat ripped apart, and a portion of the body was found and other parts was not found. But what was found, they washed it, put it together, and they make Salatul Janazah. So that's a call of concern at Imma, the Shafi'iyah and the Hanabila takes the view that such a person is to be given the rights of Janazah and the Salah. The Ahnaf and the Malikiyah, all the person is not to be prayed over unless you found majority of his body parts. So the qawl al-Raja is the qawl of al-Awwal. Qawl al-Raja is the first view, as apart the fact that you find a part of his body and he's Muslim, then he's deserving janazah. They mention a third scenario, or you might find a scenario that a person who drowned and his body was not found. So a person that he drowned, but he knew that person saw that the person was drowned, but his body was never recovered. So in that case, Salat al-Janazah, but said that would not be Salat al-Ghaib, because none of his body was found. But we know that the person, he died. Another case that they mention regarding those cases that may occur concerning As-Salat ala Qist or Qast. What they mention regarding Al-Qist is regarding that we say stillborn. So the child came out stillborn. So we had somewhat into this matter before. We mentioned concerning the ulama discussed concerning that the stillborn are the concern that one, in these cases, if the child was born and they cried when they came out or made movements, and then that child is giving janazah, full janazah. So they came, when they were delivered, they were 8 months, we said premature, but when they came out, they somewhat, they cried and they had movements, or if they didn't cry, they had movements to show that they were alive. Then soon after, they passed away. Then also that child is deserving, we mentioned that to be washed, and also to be given a salah. So as we mentioned that for the ulama, where they looked at regarding to make the distinction regarding the child who was less than what we said. How many months? 4 months. So if the child stillborn was less than 4 months, then in that case, it doesn't have to be given salah. But it's above 4 months, then where the soul have been placed into the fetus, then it is deserving. It can be prayed upon. It can be prayed upon. So that's concerning that matter. We find that A'immat al-Araba, Al-Ahnaf, Wal-Malikiyah, Wal-Shafi'iyah, when Anabila, and he even mentions that ijma regarding the child who was for stillborn, but or the one who came out, cried or made movements, then soon after, later on died, a day or so after, then they're deserving Salatul Janazah. The second scenario, as mentioned regarding concerning that a child that born didn't cry or made any movements, as I said, stillborn, but they are over 4 months, then the qawl raji is that they're deserving, they can be preyed upon. That they can be preyed upon. So the ulama mentioned that he says below, they said, لا يصلي على سكت إذا لم يستحل وكان دون 4 أشهر. That the child that is not preyed upon is the one who was stillborn or was born stillborn less than 4 months. And that's the qawl of the ittifaq a'immat al-arba. Ittifaq a'immat al-arba, which is al-ahnaf, wal-maliki, wal-shafi'iyya, and hanabila, and some mention is that ijma on this topic. And next matter to discuss regarding salat is regarding the case concerning as-salat upon al-kabair. Salat regarding al-kabair, ashab al-kabair, and al-bidah, and also they mention ghayr muslim. So regarding concern the next cases regarding salat, as for those people that are deserving salat or not deserving salah. So of those cases regarding salat ala ashab al-kabair. So regarding people who are said to be al-kabair are those people who are Muslim, but they died upon certain major sins. They died still without per se repentance, and were involved in doing certain major sins. So such a person, are they deserving salah? Al-Qawla said the matter considered mentioned that because they are Muslim, by ijma they are deserving salah. So the fact that they are Muslim, then by ijma, as we mentioned that for each Muslim is deserving, is a haqq is a right that they deserve, which is a salah. So even ashab al-kabair, so even people of major sin, they are also still deserving salah. And it is mentioned that naql al-ijma, of those who have mentioned that, so the ulama mentioned, لا يجوز ترك الصلاة على جنائز al-kabahir min al-muslimin, that it is not permissible to completely abandon, not to offer salat al-janaza for a person who's of al-kabahir from amongst the Muslim. And of those who have mentioned that it is an ijma, a consensus on this topic, meaning that the person is still deserving what? Salat. Janaza, for the as mentioned, Naql al-Ijma, Qadi Iyad, Ibn Abdul Barr, Al-Qurtubi, wa Shawkani. So those of the ulama have mentioned that there is an ijma, that person who dies as a Muslim but may be involved in certain major sin, that they are still deserving salah. Nam. So for all the Muslim not to pray over them, the Muslim become sinful. The Muslim become sinful. So that's concerning that first matter. The second of their mention, or not of the mention concerning as-salat ala ahli al-bid'ah wal ahwa. As-salat ala ahli al-bid'ah. So regarding offering salat over ahli al-bid'ah. Because ahli al-bid'ah, there's a book that we have here. You have a few books. This book that we have found, that's a book that discusses concerning, is called Al-Ahkam Al-Fiqhiyya Al-Muta'alliqa bi ahli al-bid'ah. So this book discusses concerning of those ahkam that relate to people of ahli bidah from the approach of the people of the fuqaha. Then you have concerns about the fiqhi approach. This one is about fiqh. Then you have Shaykh Ibrahim al-Ruhaili. That is a book called Mawqif al-Sunnah wal-Jama' min al-Bida wal-Ahwa. Of that meaning, in 2 volumes, we discuss from perspective of Akadiyya. Regarding concerning one relation, al-Sunnah relation, and dealing with the people of al-Bida. Now, so this one we just showed is regarding from a fiqh approach. And the one by Shaykh Ibrahim is by way of Akadiyya. Now, so to combine between both to get a picture of what are the things that are allowed regarding al-Bidah and not. And the main thing, ulama clarify concern, these things, these rights of the Muslims still deserving. It's not per se, it is not left, so it is based upon what are what has been mentioned in the Sharia regarding what is allowed for a Muslim, even though he may fall into bid'ah or ma'asi. So the mention regarding as-salat al-mubtada', salat upon a person who's from al-bid'ah, that on this particular matter, that you'll find that the ulama also, their ittifaq a'immat al-arba, min a'immat al-arba, tusalli as-salat al-janaiz ala sahib al-bid'ah, al-muslim. So the Muslim, so that person who's a person of bid'ah, is still deserving to be prayed upon, salatul janazah. And that's in agreement with a'immat al-arba, al-Malik, Imam Abu the Hanafi, the Maliki, the Shafi, and the Hanabila. And that's called Jumhur of the ulama. بل حكي الإجماع أكثر على العلم على ذلك. Where some of the ulama have somewhat stated in the ijma on this topic. The area of difference, so said that an ijma on this particular topic, we'll find that the area of discussion between the ulama, so the fact the person from Ahlul Bidah. So this topic, it goes back to a matter which is relates to Ahlul Bidah. They are 2 types. The matter goes back to making that distinction between the different levels of bidah. So making a distinction between a different level of bidah. We'll find some bidah of the first degree, which is al-bidah mukaffira. Those bidah that are said to be, that takes the person outside the fold of Islam. So bidah that takes the person outside the fold of Islam. So he may be claimed to be a Muslim, but if any certain bidah that will expel that person, excommunicate that person from Islam, then that person then in reality is not a Muslim. In reality he is not a Muslim. So based upon him falling into a bid'ah mukaffira, then he is treated as a kafir. The ahkam of al-kufr is applied to such person. Then the second type of bid'ah, it is concerned al-bid'ah غير مكفرة أو مفسقة. Those bid'ah that are referred to as غير مكفرة, that it does not expel the person from Islam, are said to be al-bid'ah mufassiqa. Those person be a fasiq, a sinner, a transgressor, but he's still Muslim. So bid'ah mukaffira takes the person outside the fold of Islam. Bid'ah mufassiqa, the person still deemed to be a Muslim, but as bid'ah with him. So the ulama regarding concerns, so the second category, which we say is what? Bid'ah mufassiqa. As for those ones of regarding concern, you'll find that of those people that find that, as mentioned, that a person may be of bid'ah, and he is, they says, dahiyan ila al-bid'ati. The one who's a qala to bid'ah. Walaikum salam to Allah. The one who calls people to his bid'ah. Then that one usually dealt with stern. Now, so you find some aqwal of the books of the Salaf regarding books of Aqidah concerning not to pray upon Ahl Bidah, in that relation regarding people of Bidah that are known to be, they openly practice their Bidah and they are callers to their Bidah. So those ones are treated as a form of, they say, zajar, as a form of showing one discontent and disapproval. Then it is permissible that they mention that some of the more upright the people of Sunnah, not to pray over them. It is for some of the people of Sunnah not to pray over such person, but they're still deserving to be prayed upon. But the people of Sunnah not to be the one that they can avoid and at times encourage not to pray over those people, especially concerning. And the people that may say the people of Sunnah are known to be the people who are looked upon as people of the ulama, and also the people who are known for fadl. As for the common Muslim, then even of Ahl Sunnah, then he can pray. But for the people who are looked upon as an example and as a reference, then those people are the ones that are more prone, are more encouraged not to participate in that janazah. So we have those people which is said to be one, muhajir li bid'ah, the one who openly practice their bid'ah, whether they are callers or just openly do of their bid'ah, or mu'anid. Second, the person mu'anid, the one who kind of somewhat the clarity have been made to him and they're still insistence on their bid'ah. So things have been clarified to them with adillah, ash-shar'iyyah, with proper proof, clear proofs, but still that one refuse to come back to the haqq and to alter the bid'ah. So also another group of people that one is the people that said the people of the ulama and the people of fadl of Ahl Sunnah not to pray upon them. Naam. So that's concerning those particular matters. Clear with that point? Aywa. So an ulama mentioned regarding La yusalli ala ahli bid'ah with quyud. So in the books of Aqidah, when a person mentioned that of the way concerning, so you'll find that concerning books of Aqidah discuss concerning things regarding al-zajr and al-hajar, things of way of boycotting of ahli bid'ah. Then a series of things are discussed. One of them is not praying for their janazah, and that's concerning that more so concerning people who are that they are the ones who stand out. The people who stand out are involved in dawah, and also people are known for their fadl, such as the umara and the likes. They should not participate in their janazah. The next group of people that they discuss as-salat ala shuhada. As-salat ala shuhada. Those are the ones whom have the shuhada. Naam, the ones who are the shuhada, as we mentioned before, that were concerning al-shaheed, al-maraka, the ones who are the shuhada who died in the maraka, under the battlefield. Naam, so as we mentioned that because of their situation, that they are because of their deaths, that la yusalli alay ala shaheed fil maraka. So the shaheed who died in the maraka, on the battlefield, then also there's no salat that is done for them. There's no salat that is done for them. And that's the qawl of jumhur of the ulama, min Malikiyya, Shafi'iyya, and the Hanabila. And I mentioned Ta'ifa min al-Salaf. So regarding the one who died on the battlefield, لا يصلي على الشهيد الذي قتل في المعركة, the one who died on the battlefield, then no salat to be giving for them. As we mentioned, that also that they are not what? Before? They are not to be washed. So the form of concern, as a form of concern, honoring them for their sacrifice, then they are exempted from these things. Some of the ulama that it can be done, regarding concern that it can be done, and a third so of those who hold that is not to be done. Those who hold that it can be done, and those who hold that mutakhayyir, the one can is a choice, but it's more preferred not to do so. Is more preferred not to do so. As mentioned in the hadith, regarding the hadith of Jabir radiallahu anhu قال أن رسول الله عليه السلام أمر في قتلى أحد بدفنهم بدمائهم, that he alayhi salam, that regarding those ones who died in the battle of Uhud, that he commanded that they to be buried in their, with we concerned to know, as they are, regarding their blood flowing from them. وَلَمْ يُصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ, and he did not pray upon them. وَلَمْ يُغَسِّلُوا, and also they were not washed. So for the person we said that the ones who died on the battlefield, then they're to be buried, as said, in their clothing, without being washed, and also without salat being done for them. The next concerning ash-shaheed, what is referred to as shaheed ad-dunya. So those ones that said outside غير المعركة, the one who are the shaheed who did not died on the battlefield. So those who were mentioned before, that a person who died where they were drowning, harik, they were burnt to death, a woman, and certain cases that we mentioned before. So as for those cases of people are referred to as shaheed, but as for their case also, that their burial is treated as normal. So there is no per se the rule of the exemption regarding the shaheed al-maraka does not apply to those cases. So the person who said to be a shaheed, because the person died a certain of those ways that were mentioned, that they are still deserved, that they are still given the rights of any decease. As for being shaheed regarding that, their reward in the akhirah. But as for the dunya, then they are treated in their janazah in a normal fashion. And it's considered the naql al-ijma' on this. We have Ibn Qudama, Al-Hanbali, Al-Nawawi, Al-Shafi, wa Shawkani, Istiqlali. Meaning, Al-Shawkani rahimahullah, of the ulama of Yemen in the mid-12th century, he didn't per se, he was initially Zaydiyya, then kind of somewhat reached the level of a mujtahid, where also he didn't follow a particular madhab. Did not follow a particular madhab. He comes and said istiqlali, of independent. So also of those who mention ijma regarding the person who is referred to as shaheed, but did not die in a ma'raka, then they are given all the normal rights of a deceased. Another group of people they mention amongst the Hanabila, they mention maqtul dhulman, a person who was killed wrongfully or murdered wrongfully. So such a person, are they to be prayed upon or la? Not. A correct view is that yusalli ala maqtul dhulman, that the person who died in this regards is still deserving to be prayed upon. So he'll be washed, shrouded, and prayed upon, and that's the method of the jumhur of the ulama. That's method of the jumhur, al-fuqaha, amongst them the Hanafiya, the Malikiya, and the Shafi'iyya, and al-Riwaya, and Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, jami'an. So you find that some of the Hanabila is of the view that the person who was killed wrongfully, murdered wrongfully, then such a person is not to be prayed upon. But that view, we said, is contrary to the view of the jumhur of the ulama. And there is no clear dalil regarding this particular matter. As for example, they mentioned Uthman that and Umar, that they were killed wrongfully, and they prayed upon them. So it shows regarding that as-salatul janazah to be washed and also to be prayed upon. That's the correct view. So those are some of the groups that are regarding those who are deserving salat and those who are I will mention that also as for the non-Muslim, غير Muslim, then they are not deserving any form of salah. They are not deserving any form of salat. And that concerning non-Muslim, غير Muslim, we include al-kafir asli, the person who was normal kafir, whether Yahud, Nasara, or of no religion. Or also al-murtad, a person who is a murtad, a person who is considered to be a kafir also, who is said to be a murtad of those who have apostated from Islam. They are not deserving janazah. And also, after said on the discussion is regarding man mata tarikus salah. Man mata tarikus salah. So the one who died not praying. Khilaf between the ulama, is such a person still deemed to be a Muslim or not? So you have those masail. So the person in this case who doesn't pray at all, the person who does not pray at all, so the person who fast Ramadan, but does not pray at all. And yeah, people are like that. They'll pray they'll fast Ramadan, but they will not pray even Taraweeh or anything. Nothing, but they'll pray, they'll fast. Is such a person Muslim? Laysa Muslim. The person that has laysa Muslim. The person does not pray. So said no, even though it said that khilaf between ulama, but Qadar Raj, as I see it, as I'm the view concerning a person who does not pray, laysa Muslim at all. He doesn't pray at all. Not once a week. Doesn't pray at all. Not a Muslim. We mentioned that there's a khilaf between ulama. Said as for I said I'm more in line with the view of those who say he's not a Muslim. And for those who say he's a Muslim, that's with them. But he's not a Muslim. A matter to discuss, trying to find that another as-salat al-ghaib that is mentioned regarding concerning that a person that Muslim died. And we find a practice like that, the person somewhat is of some fame. Maybe a person an alim, or a person maybe a head of state. Now, but a person somewhat is of certain type of fame and died. So, in that case, you might find that because of the person, that level of fame amongst the people, that they might, in some places, that they may repeat their Salatul Janazah in more than one places. Clear? No. So, for example, a person, the head of state in their country. So, the head of state was an ex-head of state, or a person of some position and rank. So that they announce officially that all the masajid, or most of the main masajid, that they're supposed to do Salatul Janazah. You're going to pray in Masjid in his locality. But the instruction is given by the authorities that all the masajid also to perform Salatul Janazah ghaib for him. Clear? Clear. And the masala clear? No, masala clear. Without giving examples. Nam? So it does occur. Nam? So you might find that certain persons said no, Islamic personalities, when they die, nam, then you find that in the country will be instructed that all the main masajid supposed to pray for him. Even though you're going to pray in one masjid. And people will pray, will be thousands of people may be praying for him. But other masajid will be given instruction for them also to establish salat for that person, which is salat al-ghaib, because he's not present. But the case said to salat al-ghaib, the one of the person is not, we said a person, no one prayed for him. But we have another case where he's prayed upon, are going to be prayed upon, but other masajid are now praying for him also. You with me? So you have that discussion where it calls iyadat salat al-janazah. It's about repeating salat al-janazah. In other places it's salat al-ghaib. So the ulama all concerning that on this matter, you have again khilaf between the ulama. Those who hold that the salat is not to be done. Nam, and some to the extent that the salat not to be done at all, because the asl, the root is that the person is prayed for by some of the Muslim, so that that act is being complied with and being fulfilled. Now adding, so other masajid now praying for the person in different localities. They said not that. They said this action is something which is, you want some with the Sahaba. Even before then, concerning the time of the Prophet of Islam, that Sahabi died in different places. And it is not known that they will repeat salat elsewhere for that person who already been prayed for. Also, second example, the Sahaba. Omar when he died, Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, Ali when they died, radiyallahu anhum, and other among the Sahaba. Was it known that in other localities that people were praying for them repeatedly in other masajid? It's not known. And been narrated back to us. As the ulama mentioned, so that ulama mentioned that that have not been related that this practice was done for them. And they are the best amongst us. But of more latter time, it become a practice. Fulan died in a particular place because he's seen a certain status. Then the masajid, different masajid, will be praying for that person, even though he's being prayed upon. So those who mention that, there's no precedent for it amongst the Salaf. Most in the time of Nabuwah and also from the Sahaba. And they died. The reality that they died, anhum. But it is not known that this system was applied to them. And they are best amongst us. Then that's first view. A second view is that it can be done. But with the condition which you find, consider the view of the Hanabila and most of that it can be done for a person of some type of status and of like served Islam and a Muslim in a great way. So in recognizing that person's service, that is said that now on a wide level, a wide degree regarding the Muslim, as recognized as a person, meaning an alim, or sometimes a person of some status, head of state, then they said no, it's allowed. They give her an allowance.
That based on what? On qiyas.
Based upon that, based upon qiyas. That because the person's status, that they all consider salat al-janazah, that so that's their thing. That generally, but there's no clear nas that they're using. They mention that they use the salat of Najashi, but Najashi, no one prayed for him. Najashi, no one prayed for him because he was in a different land. So, because they said so, they use it as it says, no, the Najashi, the Prophet Islam prayed for him with a Muslim in a different location. So, the same thing can be done for a person of some type, or a person of some notoriety. So, it can be done. But what says that dalil though is a bit, you understand, doesn't suit the situation fully as mentioned.
The hadith about the Prophet and the woman that used to clean the masjid.
It has a different scenario.
Didn't they pray over her already though?
I said that. I'm saying it's a different scenario.
Oh, okay.
So I said the scenario concerns is that the person I was said the case regarding concerning that the lady was used to clean the masjid, that she died, was said, as I mentioned before, the person who missed the salat, the janazah salat, that they can go to the person grave and pray for them. This is the case that the salat is being, janazah is being done in every, for example, in all the local masjid or in that country. So Fulan died, he's considered to be a person of higher respect and a person of great standing in that country. So the authorities in the country say, this Friday, this person will be prayed, so every masjid should pray for him. But he's going to pray in one particular masjid already. Scenario clear? So it's not about going to after. He's doing it at the same time. Yeah, he's going to pray at, you understand, so after Jummah. So you can usually after like Jummah after Dhuhr, but they'll say that tomorrow, that person, all the masajid should pray for him. It does occur. With me? So in that scenario, so we're talking about that type of scenario. So I said, now, is this something which is to be done? Now, that, as I mentioned earlier, there's no dalil regarding it being done. But the ones who say can be done, they use concern in the case of, we say, Najashi. But Najashi is a bit different circumstance. Is that? Najashi a different circumstance where no one, it does not know that anyone prayed for him. This person, we know people pray for him. But we're still doing Salatul al-Ghaib for him. So that's concerned that matter. So you might find that, so that's of those matters that are discussed. I'm more inclined to the view that is not to be done. And Shaykh Al-Bani rahimahullah also kind of somewhat reinforced that view. Now, that is not something to be done. as there is no clear dalil for it. And the evidence that is used, that I'll say doesn't suit that scenario and applies to that scenario. But it's become a qawl among some of the ulama and it is applied among some. So that's concerning those additional masahil that they discuss. Also to add that we mentioned that as for Salatul al-Mayt, that is something that can be done by female. So the woman, if they are present, they can participate. So we've done so where's the location for that for Salatul Janaza? It can be done, ideally, you have a designated outside the masjid for Salatul Janaza. Ideally, a special location for it outside the masjid. But it can be done in the masjid. It can be done in the masjid. So that inshallah, those are those additional points regarding that relates to Salat al-Janaza that we add from what the author, what is not, was that were not mentioned in the book, So that inshallah we'll stop for tonight and continue next week. Wabillahi ta'ala tawfiq. Any question about what we mentioned? Aywa?
If somebody misses the janazah or somebody, they want to go to pray for them at the grave. How should this be done?
Over the grave.
Just over the grave.
It is over the grave. So the person does over the grave does perform the salat normally. So salat can be done of salat al-janazah. Exception of salat can be done is salat al-janazah over the grave, as there is no ruku and sujood involved. Naam. Sorry? Facing the qibla and all that, all the rules concerned such. Salatul Janazah, you understand that of the rules, of the shurut, that the person has to face the qibla. So the person have to ensure they are facing the qibla, whether it is salat till the person is present, the deceased is present, or absent, or you're praying over their grave, of the condition that the person have to face the qibla. I would say that all the conditions concern the person in a state of tahara, and all those rules of the shurut of salat applies. Aywa?
You said last week, like, if it's for a woman, you pray at a certain point. When you go to the grave, you have to follow that also.
No, the grave, no. The grave is because the person already buried. Okay. So the person has faced the qibla. At that point, you say you don't have to stand in the middle of the middle of the female or the head of the man. The person at whatever point they face the qibla and they make the salah at that particular grave of the person.
I don't know if we covered this, but not to repeat it. What I'd say, for example, we're traveling, me and another person, and you die. For example, you die where we are. We're at a place where I can't take your body back now, but it's just me and you.
Okay.
And then, is it sufficient that I can just bury you and then pray over you? Because I can't shower you, I can't wash you.
فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا. So in any case, the person, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the best of ability, so of the thing that the person does what he's able. So if a scenario was to be like this, then of the thing was that if the person cannot be washed, then one of the main thing, that if he cannot be washed, then tayammum. Second, concerning shrouding, the person shroud of more what he is able of the body, from what he has with him, type of thing. Then the third, Salatul Janaza, as we mentioned that, khilafatul ulama, but one person sufficient to fulfill that act. Some mention three, but one is, ulama says that one is enough to fulfill that responsibility. Naam. طيب وبالله توفيق. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.